Hello and welcome to the Minds on the Frontline Podcast. I'm Jeff Lassers, one of your hosts, and I'm a professional firefighter, paramedic, educator, and content creator. My co-host today is Mike Mattern, also a firefighter and paramedic, as well as a peer support team expert. Today we are joined by Kathryn Dunklow, the EMS Administrator for the Traverse City Fire Department. Kathryn's career began on the road working rural fire-based EMS, running long transports, working with minimal staffing, and operating in a system where two-person crews depend heavily on each other to get the job done. Now in leadership, she manages EMS operations for a busy municipal fire department, oversees education and system development, and serves as a certified peer supporter. After becoming a mother to twins in 2021, Kathryn experienced postpartum depression and anxiety. These challenges were intensified by isolation, sleep deprivation, and the unique pressures that come with working in a male-dominated profession. Her story includes the early signs she missed, the moment she realized that she was in trouble, and the support systems that helped her find her way forward. This conversation matters because responders often try to power through everything, and many hide their struggles until they are overwhelmed. Kathryn's honesty helps normalize postpartum mental health challenges and shows how these issues affect families, partners, and the culture of frontline professions. During this episode, we discuss the cultural pressures women face in rural frontline agencies, the subtle signs of postpartum depression that are easy to miss, how peers, partners, and supervisors can begin supportive conversations confidently, and practical steps departments can take to better support pregnant and postpartum first responders. Minds on the Frontline is presented by the Frontline Strong Together 5 program. FST 5 offers 24/7 mental health and crisis support for Michigan's first responders and their families. If you or someone else you know needs help, call 1-833-34-STRONG or visit fst5.org to learn more and explore our free training options for Michigan's frontline agencies. Wayne State University administers FST5 with grant funding from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Together, we're dedicated to strengthening the health, resilience, and well-being of Michigan's frontline community. Please follow us on social media and enjoy the show. Good morning, Kathryn. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Can't complain.
We're doing really well. Why don't you kick us off? Introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and where you do it.
Yeah, so my name's Kathryn Dunklow. I am the EMS Administrator for the Traverse City Fire Department. And my role here is just handling everything EMS. So ultimately, I just want to support the guys and give them the resources they need to do their jobs effectively, whatever that means.
Your standard EMS coordinator, keeping operations moving along, education, all the things. But how did you start your EMS journey? You don't just start in that role. You're usually like us, slinging patients, and then find your way up to that type of role. So I believe you have a rural EMS background too.
I do, yeah. So I actually got started in high school in the ER interning there. And my goal was to be an ER doctor, which obviously didn't pan out, right? So here I am in this role now. But that led to me attending my first EMT class in Grand Rapids, and I just kind of fell in love with it. So from there, I joined my local fire department as an EMT. They sent me to fire school, and then I worked full-time for them, got my paramedic license, switched departments, worked full-time in a rural department in Leland, and became a lieutenant there as well. So that was kind of neat how my career shifted. And after I had my kiddos, I shifted to EMS only, which is really my first love. I mean, everyone's got their first love, right? It's either fire or EMS. If you say both, I think you're lying, So EMS is my first love. And I started working as a paramedic only, got into education. And then I was approached by some members here at this department asking me to apply for this position. So I was lucky enough to get this job, and I'm fresh off the road from rural EMS. So minimum 20-minute transports.
So you've had many roles, rural, fire-based EMS, now you're in leadership. Obviously, you had a lot of experiences in all those other roles within the EMS systems. And now, how did those experiences kind of shape your ideas, your thoughts on responder wellness and kind of the culture today?
So these rural departments, they have kind of a unique working setup where you work with one other person typically, right? And you live and work with that person, and that is your person. So when somebody has a mental health issue and you're down one person, even if they're present, maybe they're not very functional, you're kind of hobbled, right? So you have that one person that you can, rely on. Now you have to support them and yourself, and it kind of makes things hard. So when I had to shift my mindset with pregnancy of like, I'm not even allowed in a hot tub, right? Like, are they going to let me in a structure fire? No, that's not going to happen, especially with high risk. It was, well, I am one person of two on this shift. I'm also in charge. We are at least 30 minutes away from the hospital. The nearest help is 15 minutes away, 10 minutes away with good weather. But I really had a kind of awakening where I'm like, if I do have kids, what does that look like for the department as a whole? Because when one person's out, it impacts everything. So when you have 6 full-time people and one's gone, how much overtime are the other people working? And if I'm going to be gone for a whole year because you have pregnancy and then you have the postpartum bit to deal with, and when are you going to be physically ready? Because I had to have surgery, right? I had abdominal surgery, is what a C-section is. They cut right into me and took my kids out. So,
one of the biggest reasons you are here is not only to touch on that rural part, but also as a woman and a mother, as a first responder. Those cultural challenges that a woman faces, not just rural, but a male-dominated profession.
Yeah, I got smacked with that pretty early into my career, the difference between women and men. And I haven't experienced that for a while. But even in fire school, I remember one of my classmates coming up to me and making a point to tell me, I don't know why you're here. My fire chief would never hire you. You're a woman and you have no place here. And I said, thanks for your perspective. That just kind of fueled me a little bit because I love some good competition, honestly. So that just gave me a little more motivation to basically kick his butt. Like I just wanted to be better than him,
Right.
It gave me a lot of drive. And karma has a funny way of working out. I graduated from fire school and he did not. So
That's funny.
it's kind of funny, but at the beginning of my career, I felt like I had to work twice as hard to get the same amount of respect from my coworkers. Some of the guys, they respected me based on who I was as a person. They knew that I had good intentions and I was a hard worker, and that while I didn't have the physical strength the guys did, I could leverage my brain to make smart decisions. So like my motto from the get-go that I learned from one of my instructors was work smarter, not harder. That really kind of propelled me forward to thinking outside the box on ways to make the job happen, maybe not with brute force like some of my male counterparts can do, but I can figure out a way to make it happen. If it has to happen, I'm gonna do it.
And I think that's really the ask when you hire first responders. Can you figure out how to make it happen? And I think there's nobody that complains about a coworker if they're like, hey, man, they make it happen. That's it.
No matter what it is, if you're a good problem solver, nobody's going to complain about you because you just figure it out.
Right.
Yeah. And so from there, when the guys started seeing, that I could be creative and make these things happen, I gained respect pretty quickly. And I never felt like an enigma or something, or as an outsider as a woman, because when a woman works hard, they're right there with the guys. Like you can't tell if I'm a woman or a man when I put on my helmet, my fire gear, my braids tucked. You can't see. I had somebody yell, "Who's that guy up on the roof?" Well, that's Kathryn. She's been working right now. So it's kind of funny how, you can't tell who's a female and who's a male, because guess what? My first set of fire gear was a dude's fire gear, and I fit right into it.
Right.
I think everybody kind of falls into we don't care who you are as long as you can do the job.
As long as you work hard and you're here for the right reasons.
Exactly. And how was it starting out? Even, I know you said in the beginning it was a little odd, but when we talk about wellness and mental health, did you feel almost even more to hide if there was something going on because you were a woman and you didn't want to seem the weakness or things like that?
Sometimes, depending on like maybe some of the older generation, they would think that in tougher situations, I would act with a little more emotional reasoning than a man would, maybe not be as objective about things and put emotion in, which is not really the case, right? So we're seeing that a lot of the women in leadership now are less reactive than some of their male counterparts even, which is kind of interesting to think about. So while the traditional female role is, for lack of a better term, making you a sandwich in the kitchen, taking care of the babies and being at home all the time, like that's not today anymore, right? So there's working moms everywhere. And
There
so
you go.
I've tried to be objective and really think about those things, but I've never thought about that, especially now in leadership, as coming from a woman's perspective. I'm just a leader, you know?
So, as a woman, one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you is because you unfortunately experienced postpartum depression. Fortunately, it sounds like you got two amazing little kids, a great family life. Life's really good, but there was a hill you had to get over. So when you became a mother, what were the early signs that something felt different or concerning? And were there signs that it was more than a normal new parent stress?
So I had my kiddos August of 2021. So my whole pregnancy was through COVID, which in itself created some mental health struggles for me. So my husband was not able to come to any of the scans. I had to FaceTime him, which was upsetting because, you're leading up to what's supposed to be a beautiful time in your life. I'm married to someone I love, and we live in this nice little house, and I've got my dream job, right? And we're going to have these beautiful children, and everyone's really, really excited. And I'm like, well, I don't even know if my husband's going to be allowed in the delivery room with me at this point. So leading up to the birth was terrifying. I mean, and now I have twins, so it's a high risk pregnancy. And luckily, my twins are fraternal. So I have a girl and a boy. They're 4 years old now, so they're awesome. They're super fun. But early on, I was kind of heightened emotionally from the lack of having this traditional experience that most women get to have, having the people there that you love experiencing this with you. So that started kind of the spiral of isolation, I think, for me, where I was doing all of these, like having all these procedures done, and I was alone. Like it was me and a doctor who did their best, right? And we all had to work through what COVID gave us. It was awful, but we got through it. So when the kids came, I was told, breast is best. You have to breastfeed these kids because if you don't breastfeed them, they're going to be stupid. Better breastfeed them.
They certainly hit you with some propaganda, cult-like
Oh my God.
feeling, and we agree, we totally agree.
You must do this.
Right. And of course, I'm a curious person, so I'm looking into where they're getting this information, and I'm not finding any real compelling peer-reviewed evidence showing better outcomes for these kids. But when you're tired and exhausted and feeling isolated, you can't be logical, right?
Right.
You're in like this internal spiral where I'm thinking I have to provide double the milk. I have 2 mouths to feed with my body, and my body's wrecked, right? So I'm post-op wearing an adult diaper, and I'm just out of sorts. So I'm no longer working at my department. I'm employed part-time at a couple of EMS agencies, but I'm alone. I'm at home in a diaper with 2 crying kids. Life was just upended for me. And what was supposed to be joyful, which I did have moments of joy. I loved my kids. I really did. And I still do, obviously. But it's hard when you don't sleep. And I was only sleeping an hour at a time because I was trying to get enough milk supply to feed my children because they were premature and underweight. And the pediatrician's like, you need to feed these kids. Like, they're little, you got to get them fed. And I'm like, I'm trying my best, so I can't produce enough. So I'm having to talk to friends and get breast milk from them because I still want breast milk because that's what they told me I needed to have. And I want the best for my kids. And so I'm feeding each kid a half hour at a time, pumping on top of that. So I'm feeding them for around 2 hours and sleeping an hour in between maybe. That put me in a pretty dark spot. And the night that was the trigger where I was like, I'm in trouble, was both my kids wound up having colic. I got it handed to me, and I was sitting on the couch with my daughter, and she would not stop crying. it was like I was looking at myself from a different perspective. Like I wasn't even me. I was a human shell. Like I was just empty, and I felt nothing except like this basically deep sense of despair that I am failing. Like I am failing. I can't make my kids happy. I can't even feed them. Like they say you're supposed to be naturally able to do these things, and I can't. So there must be something wrong with me. Well, my daughter's crying, and I'm like, it would just be really nice if this crying would stop and if I could like take a pillow and make it stop. And at that point, I stopped and I said, okay, now this is postpartum depression. I've been experiencing it. I've been keeping an eye out for it. But I thought I was just kind of tired, And I took her, handed her to my husband. I said, I just need 5 minutes. Like, I need 5 minutes. Please take her. Because I wanted her to be safe. I don't want to hurt my kids, right? But being exhausted makes you think crazy things. So it was about this time of year, because I remember they were about 3 months old, and it was pouring rain and icy. And I walked outside in my nursing tank top and shorts and cried in the rain by myself. And that was a breaking point for me. I got it together enough where I could talk. And I called my best friend, who was also pregnant at the time. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell her what happened. And now I'm ashamed of what I was thinking and what my intention was. I'm like, how do I tell this person that's been my person since high school what I almost did? This is awful. And now I'm feeling like a terrible person. And I called her and I just started crying. And she was like, hey, I'm here. Are you safe? Are your kids safe? And I said, yes. And she said, okay, I'll be right over. And she came over, and through my whole experience, she was like my sounding board, right? So she helped me kind of climb out of this self-imposed isolation, basically, from all of the factors that played into the pregnancy and the lead up and the aftermath, so to speak. And I actually got back with a therapist and kind of outlined why I was feeling the way that I was. And I was in therapy about that for about 2.5 years. It was huge for me. It's still like a little hard to talk about, but it happens. Like I'm not the only one.
That's the
no,
thing.
that you are. Just sitting here, you telling your story, and I think back. My son was born with a cleft lip and palate. He had acid reflux. We went through a lot that first 6 months to a year. And your story, I'm sitting here thinking, and there was one night where the reflux was so bad, he cried for 14 hours. I mean, 14 hours straight. And we had gotten no sleep. I was up with him. It was probably 2:00 in the morning. He's fed, he's dry, and just screaming. And that lack of sleep, I'm telling you, that lack of sleep, it almost puts you in another world, like when you talked about. And I remember at some point, I just lost it. And I held him in front of me, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm screaming at this newborn baby. What is wrong with you? I've never screamed like that at him even till today. But it was that moment where I snapped out of it, and I went, I'm screaming at a newborn, right? Yeah. And just like you talked about, I went over, I set him down in like the playpen. I literally, in my basketball shorts and a sleeveless t-shirt, it was snowing outside. I went and sat on the front porch and was watching it snow. Just because it was silence. Right. And like I knew he was safe. You're not alone.
More people experience this than you could ever imagine. Kathryn, one of the things I'll share is that we have the kids the same age. I also have, my youngest is a 4-year-old. So we had pregnancies at the same time, which means I completely empathize with the situation of the COVID baby situation, where the dad or the partner in any way is not allowed to accompany mommy through these processes. And unfortunately, we lost a pregnancy in December of 2019. So I couldn't even be there for the follow-up procedures. I had to sneak in to bring her food after. Don't tell anyone. But then
it'll be our secret on this podcast.
Right. But then we luckily got pregnant again with little Sophia, and she's now 4. But even through that entire process, you're kind of kept in the dark, away from everything, and it doesn't just suck the joy out of it. It literally makes it a very stressful experience. because you're supposed to do this with your clan or at least have the option to do it and all that stuff. So, man, I can really empathize with everything you went through in that regard. And then to also watch a mom feel completely pressured into being the milkmaid while trying to, because the feeding is like 30 minutes to an hour. People don't realize it's not like they drink a glass of milk and they're done. No. It's a long process, doing like a drop at a time. And then mom's still got mom stuff to do, like use the bathroom once in a while maybe, or maybe take a shower once a week. Yeah. All the things that add up to like you not getting sleep. I could see just never giving anybody a problem with the feelings you felt.
So kind of talking about all this with you, Kathryn, let's kind of talk to the responders and responders' families who are listening. You knew these things were coming on. You kind of saw the different things that were happening. What were some of the symptoms, behaviors, kind of risk factors where you can look back and go, wow, I had that, I had that, I had that. You didn't see it at the time, but now you can look back and see it.
From the outside looking in, it can be kind of hard to notice because what's new parent exhaustion versus like bone deep exhaustion, and a lot of the times first responders, we're the ultimate BSers, really. I mean, we can hide stuff really, really well. My own husband didn't even know how much I was trying. He thought I was just tired because I was ashamed because I'm like, man, I should be really handling this better because I'm a certified peer supporter. I helped start a peer support program. Like I should be more on top of this. But when it happens to you, when you're so used to helping other people, it's different. So, like a big thing was I just sat all day on the couch, which is not really like me. I was dreading people coming over. I'm like, don't come over. Don't come and see me in my adult diaper. Like, I don't want you to see me in this vulnerable position where I'm supposed to be happy and excited and, living the new mom dream. It's amazing. Like, this is what my body is built for. I shouldn't be feeling these things. And, it was like really the withdrawing and self-isolating. It's a big thing. So if you see people start to kind of draw into themselves, especially if that's abnormal for them, that is a huge red flag because it just spirals from there because you feel alone, but then you make yourself even more alone because you don't want to burden anybody with the way that you feel, or you don't want to be seen as whining about an experience that's supposed to be joyful. Like I'm supposed to be celebrating, but I can't celebrate because I'm too dang tired. I'm too tired to celebrate and I'm sad and I'm overwhelmed and stressed and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I got really irritable and I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky person. I smile all the time. Life is fun, but it was not fun for me then. So like if you notice somebody's being irritable, that's a big thing, when they're not usually quick to snap or quick to react to certain things, that's out of character for them, or just like extreme apathy, like you just have no feelings. And that's almost worse than the sadness because you just don't feel like, I used to call it the empty, like that was what I called it. And that gets to a dangerous point because when you don't feel anything, then there's no consequences for any bad things, right? Because it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And when you get to that point, that's a really, really scary, dark place to be in because anything goes when you don't care.
Yeah, it's scary when you don't feel feelings.
Yeah, and I wasn't fully educated about postpartum depression. Had to do a lot of my own research. And like if your loved one is having some like scary thoughts of like self-harm or wanting to harm their infant, I mean, that's not normal, right?
I don't want to say it's not normal because it seems like it is, but it's not optimal.
Yes, that would be a better, it's definitely not optimal. Like if you see somebody just pushing through a situation, just powering through it, even when they should be getting some rest and taking care of themselves, like those are some things. Lack of self-care, withdrawing, and apathy are like the big, big signs that I had. And probably disgusting. I probably didn't shower for like a week and a half at one point, and just because I didn't care. I didn't care. Those are some of the signs that I experienced, and they can be kind of hard to catch. But if you really know somebody and you just quietly watch what they're doing and see what their body language is, you can pick up on some of those things.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's knowing your peers. Speaking of which, you are a peer supporter. Now, you're trained peer supporter, but one thing we like to really champion here is that everybody's a peer. We're just all peers.
Oh, yeah.
We all know each other. You don't have to be trained in anything to know what your buddy is acting like today. So in your opinion, as a peer that's trained, as a mom who went through it, as a wife, as all the things, how do you start these conversations in a way that feels safe and validating and supportive?
I've had a lot of hard conversations with people, and really the hardest thing to do is to initiate. We're wired to want to fix things. And I think that if we stop that mindset and start shifting to being present, non-judgmental, and just listening, I think those are all big, huge things where all my friend said was, "Are you safe?" And that told me, like, she cares about me and I'll be right there. And she listened. She didn't offer me any huge life-changing advice on how to fix every little thing that I was experiencing, because that's not really what I was looking for deep down. What we're looking for is a safe space to be able to express how we're feeling. And from there, we can work, or hopefully, if we're open to it, work with a clinician to work out some of those deeper feelings. But really, from a peer standpoint, it's like, shut up and listen. Like, let the silence drag on and listen to each other, and don't be judgmental. Just be a safe space.
And that's
a good friend.
Yeah. And I think, we're lucky enough to have the kitchen table.
Totally.
And, I can think back many times where we had guys on our crew that they're about to be a new dad. And we sit there and we share these stories with them. I was surprised, like you're like, man, I can't believe I did that. I remember telling that story that I just told now. I remember telling that at the kitchen table. And then one of the other guys was like, yeah, this happened to me. And I did this. This happened to me. I did this. We were talking to that new dad, that soon to be dad, to go, listen, this is something that might be coming up. Listen, put the kid down, walk away. It's one of those things where the more we as peers are peers, or we share our experiences on top of it, that's how we start changing this stuff. And it's funny because then the guy comes in 6 months later and he's like, yeah, listen, last night, blah, 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 blah. He's like, all I heard was all you guys going, put the kid down and walk away. Just be okay with talking about it.
Yeah. And that's part of, I freely talk about, my experience with therapy, and I talk about, all the hard stuff, because maybe if I talk about it and bring it up, it'll help normalize it a little bit, because once things get normalized, it's not as big of a stigma, right? So once somebody else has experienced it, well, then it's fair game, for other people to chime in and say, yeah, I've experienced that too, or I've been that tired too. I mean, it's not saying I understand exactly how you feel, because obviously we'll never fully understand another person's perspective, because everybody's different and handles things differently. But it is nice to be able to empathize with people. And that does actually, I think, create a deeper connection with each other, where that person that you think is happy, go lucky, high performing, they're struggling too. Like it just is what it is. And we're here and we're talking about it, and hopefully, we can help somebody else.
Absolutely. Now, kind of from your perspective, having gone through it, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this are a supervisor to somebody, right? What would you say to the supervisors out there who want to help, but they're so afraid of saying the wrong thing? What guidance or simple kind of conversation starters would you recommend for those leaders and for peers when talking about postpartum depression or any type of mental health?
I think that really acknowledging that everybody's human. With every strange or unusual thing that happens, there's always another factor somewhere, right? So if you've got a medic that is a patient, there's something deeper going on. Maybe keep an eye on some of the behaviors on calls of, this person's usually pretty objective and a high performer. Like, they can handle patients, but maybe like somebody had too many drinks out at the bar and they try and fight them. And now the medic is like, it's brawl time. And that is not their usual. That's kind of a warning flag to be like, that's out of the ordinary for that person. But the real conversation starter is, I see X behavior and I'm here for you. I want to help you. If you want to talk to me, I'm here to talk to you about it. Like, we can't make people talk to us, right? And that's another part of peer support, is you can't force somebody to get support, but you need to provide them an opportunity to get help if they do want it, right? So it's just being a safe, non-judgmental space. And if you're concerned about maybe something happens on a call and you're like, man, I'm really worried about this, find that ICISF peer support program where you can be protected by the Senate bill and have them do a one-on-one with the peer and connect them. Because, I don't maybe want to talk to my boss about all the nitty-gritty. Like, I'm pretty candid. I talk about everything. I have no shame, right? But I am different than other people. So, if you don't want to talk to your supervisor, like if you're a supervisor, have resources that these people can reach out to and say, hey, I know you're probably not comfortable talking to me, but I really do care about you. And I think it would be a good idea for you to talk to another person that's experienced something similar. And, maybe they can help you out, and then give them that phone number to reach out and give them the opportunity.
That's really great. Good advice.
Yep.
And let's shift it towards just pregnancy, just healthy, normal, run-of-the-mill pregnancy, first responders, right? So from your perspective as an administrator, what advice can you give to other administrations to take better support for pregnant or postpartum responders? Is there anything you could lend to them that administratively they could consider putting in there operationally?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that worry new moms or new parents is the fear of the unknown, right? So maybe consider setting a policy about, maternity, paternity leave, or events leading up to pregnancy. So like some flexible scheduling, maybe if your department allows it, light duty assignment that has purpose. So you don't want to have them be shredding all your documents that you needed shredded and having them do all this mundane work, because that's just going to piss them off, honestly. They're going to feel like you really just are shoving them there because you have to, right? Like, give them a purpose and maybe like a big project that they can help with, because while maybe they're not physically capable of doing, or physically allowed, not capable of doing some of the roles that our job requires, they still have their brain. Use their brain. And if you can, give that paid parental leave, because there's nothing scarier than having to support a new family and not having income. Yep. And we know financial strain is a huge factor in some of these, scary mental health conditions that we have, where, you can spiral into depression if you don't have financial stability. So make sure you have like a robust paid parental leave program, and make sure that you can allow some funds to maybe help with that, because if you take care of your people, they'll take care of you.
That right there is probably one of the best lines anybody can ever say or anybody can ever hear, is that it's just that, take care of your people and they'll take care of you.
It usually doesn't get spoken from the very top of things.
No.
It seems to come from low-level managers that really work with the operational people, the boots on the grounds. The people that directly manage boots on the ground seem to have that attitude.
Well, they realize what
a level or two above that seems to get a little.
Well, they realize what their greatest asset or their greatest resource is, and that's the people, right?
The service that is being provided is the people.
Yes.
When half of your budget goes to personnel costs, take care of that bulk of your budget. If you are not a people person, you're a numbers person, that maths in my brain. Like, if you take care of your people, the cost of turnover alone is exorbitant. Like, why would you not take care of your existing personnel?
Personnel are an investment, and there's good investments and there's bad investments, right?
We need to take care of each other.
Absolutely. Now, we've had a phenomenal conversation here today, and I appreciate you coming out and having a conversation with us. What's one message that you want responders and their families to remember from this conversation today?
Really, the big thing is, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. So even though it's hard sometimes to prioritize your needs, like, just take care of your base needs. Make sure that, you go take a shower, work with the people in your life to make sure that your basic needs can be met so that you can help other people. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to help somebody at home, at work, wherever. But if your house isn't in order, then you're not going to be effective at anything.
Great words.
Absolutely.
Kathryn, it was absolutely amazing to have you on here. I'm sure we're going to be working with you more in the future. We hear so many great things about you and all the things you do for the people up northern Michigan. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the opportunity. And I look forward to working with you more.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Minds on the Frontline podcast. We have more great content coming out soon. Please check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. And make sure to like and subscribe to all Minds on the Frontline podcast social media channels. Thank you, and have a great day.